All right, what's going on, YouTube land? It's your boy Jay the ENTJ, back for another video after a semi hiatus or what have you. But this video is going to be about inferior Fi, which is what I have as an ENTJ. I've already done videos on my previous three functions of dominant TE, auxiliary NI, and tertiary SE. So I'm going to complete the series of my first four functions with this inferior Fi video, and try to describe it as I best know how from an ENTJ's perspective. Okay, so basically, as far as I know, um, Fi is just an internal value system where you basically make decisions based on some kind of subjective criteria within yourself. Now, for me personally, since Fi is inferior for me, my values aren't as strongly felt maybe as dominant Fi users or even auxiliary Fi users, or not even say they're not as strongly felt, but I just don't. I guess I don't express them you know, um, in the same fashion. Like even though I may feel strongly about something, I can actually debate an issue, and maintain, my composure, and not get too bent out of shape, you know, um, and that's because of my previous functions allow me to do that. The TE and NI and all of that, allow me to stay level-headed. People that dominate with FI tend to get a little bit more bent out of shape and take things more personally, when their values are intruded upon. Me personally, it takes a lot. You would really have to go out of your way to personally insult me for me to get really offended. But having said that, FI for me has allowed me to basically make decisions regardless of other people's feelings and thoughts and emotions and outside input. So people don't, they don't dictate what decisions I make because my FI allows me to, take whatever, internal values that I have and make my own determination, regardless of what other people, may have to say about it. So, luckily, for me, that is the case. People with FE, they don't have that similar luxury. They tend to, kind of, let others influence, how they make their decisions and things of that nature to, maintain harmony and all of that. And that can be fantastic, I guess, in certain scenarios. For me personally, I'd rather make my own determination. But, we are who we are, so we have to, work with what we have and make the best of it, and maximize our strengths and everything like that. So, yeah, FI for me is has been valuable in that it's allowed me to not, be susceptible to things like peer pressure. Growing up, if I was going to do something, I was going to do it. My friends or whoever else wasn't going to persuade me to do something because they wanted me to do it. If I wanted to do it, I was going to do it. And if I wasn't going to do it, then I wasn't going to do it, regardless of what they were talking about. How fun they thought it was going to be, and this, that, the other, and come on, man, don't leave us hanging, all that, and the other. I mean, basically, if I wasn't going to do something, I just wasn't. And if they didn't get out of my face, quickly enough, talking to me about it, they were liable to get into a fight, maybe. So, basically, you know, uh, I've been almost, immune to peer pressure, because of my FI, or at least partially because of my FI. But FI is seemingly difficult to explain, almost as difficult to explain as NI. NI is difficult to explain. It's an odd, kind of mystical thing, and FI is close and difficulty in explaining what it really is because it allows people who have a lot of it to do something that is interesting, especially from an artistic perspective. I don't know what it is, but people who dominate with FI tend to be unbelievable artists, especially visual artists. I don't know what it is. For example, ISFPs and INFPs tend to be great visual artists. If you notice, I would say the best drawers, painters, um, probably sculptors, are probably ISFP, INFP types, because that FI combination with the SE or NE, respectively, whether you're an ISFP or an INFP, is a powerful combination that somehow or another really, you know, is powerful from an artistic perspective. Now it's a little bit different, from one type to another. Okay, in that ISFPs tend to be more realistic in their artistic approach, and INFPs tend to be more abstract in their artistic approach. So if you have an ISFP and an INFP draw a lion just out of their minds, if you say, okay, draw a lion, from what you perceive in your mind a lion to look like, right? The ISFP will draw a very detailed, looking lion that will be, very lifelike. Okay, very detailed, just a very, close representation of what a lion really looks like. Now, an INFP is liable to draw a pretty good looking lion as well, with some interesting differences. Something along the lines of it may have gills or wings growing out of his back, or, two tails, or something like that. Something abstract, something out of the norm. Okay. Also, INFPs tend to be creators of some of the, popular fantasy and science fiction works, that we have available to us, in cinema, in literature, and the like, whatever it is, with that FI, NE combo, allows their minds to go to a place that most of us can't go to in order to create these characters and these stories and these scenarios. It's unbelievable. ISFPs are much more straightforward. Their fiction revolves around the real world. Like, they'll create a fictional story, that is still centered, in, our reality, so, it'll take place on Earth, in a state, in a city, you know, something that we can relate to in reality. Whereas INFPs can make stuff up that, didn't previously exist. So that's basically the difference. They both can be very effective and artistic and creative, but just from a different perspective. It's very interesting. Um, so the FI, the high level of FI tends to be very powerful from an artistic perspective in that regard. I'm not really sure why. ENFPs are very artistic as well, and ESFPs are pretty artistic as well. It's whether you have dominant or auxiliary FI, that combination with SE or NE respectively does something that just, creates unbelievable, artists. And I can appreciate it. I like it. It's but it's hard to explain. I guess that's why some people can just naturally draw. As kids, like, I drew a little bit, but I was never really good at, like, just taking something from my memory and just drawing it. I would have to look at it and then I could draw it. Okay, I can use my left brain capacity, that I have as an ENTJ. Okay, and make a nice, accurate depiction of what it is that I see. The ISFPs, though, specifically can take something out of their mind, okay, from reality, like, like I said, like before, the lion or any animal or a building, shoe, whatever it is, and just draw it like in detail. It's unbelievable how they can do it. While the INFPs are going to have a more abstract approach. But anybody who has INFP high in their function order, or anywhere in their first four functions, even, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what your experience is with FI and how it has impacted your life, and just what your feeling is about it, and and everything like that. So just anything you care to share will be greatly appreciated. And hopefully what I provided was somewhat informative here. And see you soon. Later.